Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're plunging into a concept that genuinely sounds like it's been plucked straight from a fantasy quest. Soulbound tokens.
Hmm.
Now, if you've ever spent time in, say, World of Warcraft, you'll instantly recognize soulbound items.
Oh, yeah.
These are those epic treasures you earn through, grueling raids or challenging quests. They're powerful, they're personal, and critically, you just can't trade or sell them. They are yours and yours alone.
That's the perfect starting point, really. Now, imagine taking that very idea, that concept of permanence and sort of earned identity and applying it to your digital existence.
Okay.
We're talking about unique, non-transferable digital tokens that are permanently linked to what's called a soul, and thankfully we'll just call them SBTs for short, skipping the mouthful of permanent non-transferable NFTs.
Right, SBTs. Much easier. So a soul in this context, it isn't just me, the individual person.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Exactly. A soul, it can be a person, sure, but it could also be an institution or really any digital entity, essentially, your digital wallet or account. The core idea is that an SBT is tethered to that specific soul.
Permanently.
Permanently, making it a verifiable, untradeable mark of, say, achievement or affiliation.
What truly elevates this, I think, beyond just a quirky tech idea from gaming is the ambitious vision behind it. This isn't just some fringe notion, is it?
Not at all. It's a, pretty revolutionary framework proposed by Web3 visionaries like Vitalik Buterin,
Ethereum creator.
right, one of the creators of Ethereum, and his co-authors E. Glenn Weil and Pooja Olhaver.
Yeah.
Their grand vision, they call it a Decentralized Society, or DeSoc.
DeSoc, okay.
And the aim is to shift Web3's focus away from what they see as the over-financialization of the internet.
Yeah, the speculation.
Exactly. And instead build a richer in non-economic ways
Yeah.
society. It's a call to move beyond purely speculative assets and refocus Web3 on building, social capital and reputation.
So you might be thinking, okay, a non-transferable digital token. What does that actually mean for me? Or, for how society functions? Our mission today is to dive deep into the surprising and potentially transformative ways soulbound tokens could redefine pretty much everything.
Right.
Your online identity, professional credentials, how we govern digital communities, even managing personal data. Get ready for some genuine aha moments, I think, as we explore how this could truly reshape our digital future.
Let's do it.
So let's start with the absolute basics then. What exactly are soulbound tokens, and how does this soul concept really work?
Okay. At their core, SBTs are unique, non-fungible tokens, just like regular NFTs in that sense. But they have one critical defining difference.
The non-transferability.
Precisely. They are permanently linked to a specific soul, that digital wallet or account we mentioned, and they cannot be transferred or traded. This is the key. It's what sets them apart from traditional NFTs, which are, designed for market speculation and changing hands.
And you said a soul can be more than just a person, like a collective, or even maybe a system.
Absolutely. A soul isn't limited to a human being. It could be an institution, an organization, any entity that holds these non-transferable tokens. You could theoretically have multiple souls, maybe linked to different crypto wallets for different purposes.
Okay.
But any given SBT is unique, and it's permanently tied to just one soul at a time. Think of it as a digital identity or repository, purpose-built to collect these untradeable badges or credentials.
I'm curious about that deliberate choice, making them non-transferable. It really does sound like a direct counter-narrative to that whole initial, highly financialized story of Web3.
It is. Fundamentally, it's a core design choice. The main goal, as Buterin and his co-authors put it, is to shift Web3's focus from decentralized finance, DeFi, to this broader decentralized society, DeSoc. This vision prioritizes, social value, verifiable relationships, earned reputation over purely financial metrics. It's about building trust and demonstrating legitimate participation, not just how much crypto you hold.
And the World of Warcraft analogy really helps crystallize that, doesn't it? You can't just buy the best sword. You actually have to earn it through playing the game.
Exactly right. Think of those epic items in WoW. You don't find them on some marketplace. You get them by dedicating time, mastering skills, conquering challenges. They signify your journey, your achievements.
Right.
SBTs operate on a pretty similar principle. They signal genuine accomplishment or membership or affiliation, not just the ability to purchase a token. It's about what you've done and who you are within a digital community, not just what you own or can afford. It stops people from just buying their way into status or power.
That makes incredible sense. So, okay, if SBTs are about proving what you've earned and who you are, How can they actually build our digital reputation in a verifiable way, like in the real world?
Well, one of the most compelling applications, I think, is for an on-chain resume.
Okay.
Imagine a dedicated credential soul that securely holds all your verifiable history. Your education, professional qualifications, employment history, maybe key achievements. For a concrete example, the National University of Mongolia is already doing this, issuing tamper-proof academic diplomas as SBTs.
Wow.
Yeah. And this doesn't just eliminate diploma fraud. Think about how it dramatically speeds up verification for recruiters. Instead of waiting weeks for transcripts.
Which is a nightmare.
It is. Instead, a recruiter could instantly and securely verify your degree. Just like that, it transforms a slow, paper-based process into something instant and trustless.
That's a huge step for efficiency and trust, absolutely. But what about, the massive problem of bots online? Could SBTs actually help with proving humanity? Is that feasible?
This is a really critical area, and yes, potentially. SBTs offer a powerful potential solution for what's called proof of humanity in the digital age.
How would that work?
Well, imagine linking just one specific soul to a real-world identity, maybe via a passport scan or some other government ID verification, handled privately, of course.
Okay.
Platforms could then use this to create human-only social spaces. You could still have anonymous profiles if you wanted.
Ah, so you don't have to dox yourself.
Exactly. You maintain anonymity, but the platform verifies that there's a real, unique person behind the account. This directly tackles issues like all the bot activity we saw during the Elon buying Twitter thing, which heavily influences public discourse.
Yeah, massively.
Imagine a social media platform where, you're always interacting with another human, not some AI bot swarm or a coordinated network. It's potentially a game changer for authentic online interaction.
That would fundamentally shift how we engage online, wouldn't it? I can also see this being incredibly useful in, say, the influencer marketing world. That space relies so heavily on trust, authenticity, verifiable results.
Absolutely. And influencers and brands are already starting to explore this. SBTs can act as collaboration passports or like an on-chain portfolio for influencers.
Okay.
Securely aggregating their performance metrics, past campaign KPIs, things like that. It moves beyond just hoping the screenshots in the media kit are real.
Right, the manual vetting.
Exactly. Into what people are calling blockchain-native talent optimization. Makes it far easier and more reliable for brands to find and, crucially, trust the right creators.
So no more sifting through countless potentially fudged reports.
That's the idea. And it extends to things like tiered loyalty and gated experiences, too.
How so?
Well, influencers could earn different SBTs, maybe an introductory SBT, then an engager SBT, maybe a champion SBT, or an ally SBT, based on their engagement, performance, loyalty over time.
I see, like levels.
Kind of like levels, yeah. And these SBTs can then unlock progressive benefits, maybe early product access, private content, invitations to co-create with brands, often using platforms like Unlock Protocol for the token gating part.
Right, controlling access based on the token.
Exactly. It's a way to genuinely reward and recognize commitment and actual impact, not just follower count.
That's smart. Rewarding genuine commitment. Okay, beyond influencers and resumes, what other real-world applications are emerging for SBTs? It feels like the potential is broad.
The possibilities are truly vast. Think about event tickets and proof of attendance protocols, POAPs.
Oh yeah, POAPs are everywhere.
Right, but making them non-transferable SBTs could essentially stop ticket scalping because the ticket couldn't be resold at inflated prices. It also guarantees that a POAP genuinely proves attendance. You couldn't just buy someone else's POAP to pretend you were there.
That makes sense. No more reselling fake participation.
Exactly. Then, in regulated industries, SBTs could function as KYC Know Your Customer or qualification badges, streamlining onboarding for things like financial or healthcare services.
But how does that work with privacy? You don't want your KYC details just sitting on a public chain.
Right, and this is where it gets clever. You could prove you meet an age requirement or have a specific certification without exposing your actual personally identifiable information, your PII. By integrating zero-knowledge proofs.
Hold on, that's fascinating. Zero-knowledge proofs. You could prove you're qualified for something without revealing why. How does that work in simple terms?
It's like a cryptographic magic trick, basically. Imagine you want to prove to a bouncer you're over 21 without actually showing your ID with your birth date and address on it.
Okay.
A ZKP lets you prove a specific characteristic about your soul, like I'm over 18 or I hold a valid degree from institution X, without revealing any of the underlying sensitive details. A verifier just gets a, yes, this claim is true, or no, it's false. That's it.
Wow. Okay.
And this can even be extended with something called multi-party computation for doubly private tests, where neither party reveals their private info, but you still get a verifiable outcome. It's a massive leap for privacy.
So beyond just commercial uses, we're seeing SBTs for verifiable access across many domains then.
Absolutely. Think sports,
Correct.
athlete, meet and greet credentials that can't be sold, music, backstage, passes for genuine superfans, real estate, exclusive early access to new listings for verified serious buyers. It's all about creating verifiable access and membership where that verification is not transferable, tying it to a true relationship or achievement.
Okay, so SBTs are clearly powerful for individual identity credentials, but what about at a community level, particularly for DAOs, Decentralized Autonomous Organizations, current DAO governance?
Well, it can feel a bit vulnerable sometimes, right?
Yeah, that's a really crucial point. How can DAOs function more effectively and more securely? Current DAO structures are indeed vulnerable to things like Sybil attacks.
Right. One person, many wallets.
Exactly. One user controlling tons of wallets to get disproportionate voting power, or even 51% attacks, where someone accumulates enough tokens to just control all the decisions. SBTs can significantly help mitigate these risks.
How exactly do they manage that? Seems tricky.
Well, several ways. First, SBTs can help differentiate unique, probably human souls from likely bots or colluding actors. Just having an SBT that requires some effort to obtain acts as a filter.
Okay.
Second, you could confer more voting power to SP, laws on securities, maybe work credentials, educational proofs implying a higher level of verified expertise or commitment to the DAO's goals.
So reputation matters more than just money. Potentially, yes. And even more innovative, you could use correlation scores.
Correlation scores? What's that?
Imagine if two different souls have a lot of the same SBTs. Maybe they attended the same introductory DAO meeting, voted identically on the last 5 proposals, belonged to the same niche subcommunity.
Okay.
The system might automatically assign a slightly lower weight to their combined votes on certain issues, based on the probability they might be coordinating too closely or share a strong bias.
Huh. To encourage diversity of thought.
Exactly. It's a mechanism aiming for more genuine diversity and representation in decision-making, preventing single viewpoints or coordinated groups from dominating too easily.
That sounds like it would create a much more robust and maybe truly decentralized governance system, preventing the rich or the well-connected from just running the show.
That's the hope. And beyond voting, SBTs can also deter things like vampire attacks.
Or one DAO just copies another's code and tries to steal users.
Yeah, steals the code and tries to lure away users and their liquidity with better incentives. SBTs representing community membership or contribution history make users stickier. They can also make leadership and governance programmatically responsive to community shifts, ensuring the DAO evolves with its members' verified input.
I also heard a really fascinating idea about transforming academia using DAOs and SBTs. Sounds incredibly radical, almost futuristic.
It's a profoundly compelling vision, yeah. Imagine colleges, or parts of them, transforming into DAOs. This could grant students direct voting power on institutional decisions, curriculum choices, how research funds are allocated.
Wow.
All the fund allocation could be transparently recorded on the blockchain, and SBTs would be crucial for verifying student membership, academic achievements, contributions within that academic DAO.
So students actually have a say.
A real verifiable say. It fosters a truly collaborative, student-centric environment where resources are directed towards impactful projects chosen democratically by the community, not just by a top-down administration.
Yeah.
It completely flips the traditional power dynamic in education.
Wow, that is a radical vision for education, shifting power entirely. It makes you wonder what other, maybe more abstract applications are being explored. Let's step into some of those, like plural property and plural sensemaking.
Yeah.
These sound deep.
They are quite abstract, but the potential is fascinating. What's interesting here is how SBTs might enable a much more nuanced understanding of ownership and rights. You see, Web3 is largely focused on wholly transferable assets. You either own it completely or you don't.
Bro, like an NFT you can sell.
Exactly. But SBTs allow for what Biedron and Weil call decomposable property rights for both physical and virtual assets. Think about an apartment lease in the real world. You have the right to use the property, right? But not usually the right to destroy it, or maybe sublease it without permission.
Yeah.
SBTs could encode these kinds of conditional, non-transferable access rights digitally, It moves beyond the simple binary of purely private or purely public goods.
Okay, so more complex relationships and shared access based on earned trust encoded digitally.
Precisely. It allows for a richer web of interactions.
And plural sense-making, that sounds incredibly profound. What does that actually mean in this context?
It's really about revolutionizing how we collectively understand the world, make predictions, build knowledge together. Today, a lot of our digital intelligence is driven by large, often opaque AI models trained on vast data sets.
Yeah, the big black boxes.
Right? SBTs could help transform what are currently often just passive data laborers, people whose data is harvested without much benefit to them, into active data creators by providing maybe economic incentives or what they call residual governance rights over data that has clear provenance tied back to a specific soul. People are incentivized to contribute high-quality, verifiable data, and their contributions are logged via SBTs.
Okay.
This could lead to what the paper calls a Cambrian explosion of cooperatively constructed plural intelligences rooted in social provenance and governed by souls.
Whoa, okay, unpack that Cambrian explosion bit.
It means instead of one single monolithic AI trying to understand everything, you could have a vibrant ecosystem of diverse specialized intelligences, each perhaps built and governed by distinct communities with their unique insights and contributions tracked and verified by SBTs associated with their souls.
So it's not just one all-knowing AI, but potentially many intelligences built from diverse human input, where individual contributions are actually recognized and valued through SBTs. That's a powerful shift.
It really is. It also applies to things like prediction markets. Instead of the current model, which can feel like survival of the fittest, where wealth often dictates influence.
Yeah, whoever bets the most money moves the odds.
Right. SBTs could facilitate what they term sophisticated team prediction polling. Individuals would be incentivized to share useful information, and members' predictions could be weighted based on factors like their past accuracy, peer evaluations, maybe specific expertise proven by relevant SBTs.
Interesting.
It fosters a more collaborative and potentially more accurate predictive environment, shifting influence, perhaps, from those with the most money to those with the most verifiable insight or relevant track record.
This technology clearly has immense potential for positive change. It sounds like it promises a more equitable, verifiable digital future in many ways, but with great power, as they say, comes great responsibility, or maybe significant risk. We really need to unpack the dystopian potentials and the big implementation challenges.
You're absolutely right to highlight this. It's crucial. As the creators themselves warned, Vitalik Buterin and his co-authors, SBTs, have an extremely divisive nature and could, if misused, lead to some pretty dystopian scenarios.
They actually use the word dystopian.
They do. The paper explicitly draws parallels to things like China's social credit system.
Yeah.
The risk is that SBTs could be used to automate redlining of disfavored social groups, essentially creating digital pariahs or outcasts.
How?
They could be used to target individuals for cyber or physical attacks if certain SBTs reveal sensitive affiliations. They could enforce restricted migration policies by digitally tying rights or access to certain SBTs, or enable predatory loans by identifying and exploiting financially vulnerable souls based on their SBT history. The authors themselves put it very starkly: souls can go to heaven or hell.
That's chilling. Could you give us a concrete, maybe hypothetical example of how that automating redlining with SBTs might actually play out? Is it just about overtly bad actors, or is there something inherent in the tech itself that creates this risk, even if people have good intentions?
That's a crucial distinction. The risk isn't necessarily inherent in the token itself, but in how the system using the token is designed, applied, and governed. Imagine, say, a city issues SBTs for resident in good standing, based on things like paying local taxes on time, having no parking tickets, maybe volunteering hours.
Okay, seems reasonable on the surface.
Maybe. But then what if access to certain public services, or maybe favorable loan terms from a local bank, or even entry to certain desirable neighborhoods becomes linked to having this good standing SBP?
I see.
Suddenly you've potentially automated a system of exclusion. Even if the intention was just to reward good civic behavior, if a system tracks, categorizes, and then ties real-world consequences to those categories, it can be misused or even just inadvertently lead to excluding or disadvantaging certain groups. It's the concentration of power and data that SBTs enable without sufficient checks, balances, and crucially privacy protections that creates the danger.
And with blockchain data being public by default, how do we protect sensitive information when we're talking about linking credentials, maybe even negative ones, to a permanent digital soul? This privacy paradox seems like a massive hurdle.
It absolutely is. And it's probably one of the most active areas of research and development around SBTs. One technical approach is to store the actual SBT data off-chain.
Off the main blockchain.
Right. Maybe on decentralized storage systems like IPFS, or perhaps on personal data stores like solid pods, where only the user controls access. Then only a cryptographic hash, like a unique digital fingerprint of the data, would live on the public chain.
So you can prove you have the SBT without showing its contents.
Exactly. It allows verification without revealing the underlying sensitive data unless you explicitly choose to. You decide when and what data to reveal. It's like keeping a locked diary and only showing someone the cover, or maybe a specific page if you choose.
Okay, so you're controlling access. That helps.
It helps a lot. And the zero-knowledge proofs we touched on earlier are incredibly powerful here, too. They allow for what the paper calls programmable plural privacy.
Programmable plural privacy.
Yeah, thinking of privacy not as this all-or-nothing thing, but as a loosely coupled bundle of rights to permission access, alter, or profit from information. SBTs, combined with ZKPs, could define these rights with really granular levels of consent, giving you fine-grained control over what aspect of your soul you expose, under what conditions, and to whom.
That sounds much better. But what about negative stuff, like bad credit history?
That's the really tricky ethical balance. We have to recognize that some negative reputation, SBTs think, a verifiable history of defaulted loans, maybe a criminal record relevant for certain jobs, might need to be visible or verifiable in certain contexts for society to function or for risk assessment.
Right.
So smart contract designs might need to enforce their inclusion in certain data structures when relevant, while still protecting privacy as much as possible. It's incredibly complex territory.
Definitely. What about the concern that people might just try to cheating souls, trying to game the system, maybe acquiring SBTs dishonestly or colluding to manipulate governance?
That's another very significant concern. It's not a completely solved problem by any means, but researchers are actively looking at mitigation strategies.
Like what?
Things like bootstrapping SBT issuance off thick community channels, meaning communities where people already have strong social ties and trust. Using nested communities to add layers of context, actively detecting collusive patterns in how SBTs are issued or used, and maybe penalizing that inauthentic behavior, encouraging whistleblowers. And again, advanced zero-knowledge tech, like something called MACI, Minimal Anti-Collusion Infrastructure, can be used. It aims to make bribes non-credible because the briber can't actually verify if the person they bribed followed through, making the whole act of bribery much riskier and less effective.
Fascinating. Okay, one last area here. Where do SBTs fit into the broader conversation about digital identity? Especially compared to self-sovereign identity, SSI, are they competing visions or can they work together?
Yeah, there's definitely an ongoing debate there. Some people argue that SSI is more of an overarching ideology focused on user control, flexibility, dynamic credential updates, and they see that as potentially distinct from the inherent permanence of SBTs.
So SSI is more flexible, SBT is more permanent.
That's one view. However, other sources, and indeed some implementations, suggest SBTs can actually act as powerful enablers for SSI, particularly in contexts where non-transferability is the crucial feature. Think decentralized authentication for sensitive medical data. You want proof it's you, and that proof can't be sold or given away. Companies like Microsoft, for instance, are working with standards bodies like W3C and the Decentralized Identity Foundation, DIF, to develop solutions like Microsoft Entra Verified ID. These aim to be standards-based, decentralized identity systems, emphasizing user control and privacy. So this suggests the two concepts aren't necessarily mutually exclusive.
So maybe different tools for different jobs within the bigger SSI picture?
Exactly. SSI might be the broader philosophy of user-controlled digital identity, while SBTs are a specific technological primitive, a building block that could serve certain aspects of that philosophy really well, especially around non-transferable attestations and reputation.
So, wow, we've taken quite the deep dive into Soulbound Tokens today, from their surprisingly relatable origins in gaming to their really profound potential to revolutionize digital identity, democratic governance and DAOs, and even entirely new ways of coordinating economically and socially.
Yeah.
We've seen this promise to move Web3 beyond just pure financialization towards this idea of a decentralized society built on verifiable trust and genuine social connections.
And what's truly fascinating, I think, is that clear double-edged sword quality. Like any really powerful technology, SBTs present both immense potential for good, but also alongside it, significant risks of surveillance, social control, misuse.
Yeah.
The technical and ethical challenges, especially around privacy and preventing cheating or manipulation, they're substantial. They're not fully solved, but they are being actively researched, with things like zero-knowledge proofs offering genuinely promising paths forward for building privacy-preserving applications.
This really raises a critical point about the future we're building online, doesn't it? To paraphrase Albert Einstein, the big challenge for humanity is always ensuring our organizing power, our social structures, our ethics keeps pace with our technical advances.
Well said.
SBTs seem to offer a path to actually program sociality into our digital infrastructure, to try and encode trust and verifiable relationships rather than just writing rules on top of purely transactional systems. This could lead to a more flexible, diverse digital society, maybe helping us avoid the pitfalls of centralized control we see in Web 2, while also offering an alternative to the sometimes anarcho-capitalist feel of early DeFi. It's about trying to design a digital world built on verifiable community, not just transactions or top-down authority.
It's a compelling vision of decentralized ecosystems built on those verifiable social connections. But as we've discussed, the path is definitely not without its pitfalls, and the design choices we make now collectively will really shape its direction.
So, what does this all mean for you, our listener? Well, as these technologies continue to develop, you'll likely be faced with choices. Choices about how you engage with them, what information you might choose to bind to your own digital soul, how you participate in these emerging digital societies, if you do, what kind of soul will we collectively build for Web3? How will we ensure this powerful technology ultimately empowers, rather than constrains, our digital existence? Definitely something to mull over until our next deep dive.